Can you believe in a finite object possessing infinite power? Or that a mineral can be proclaimed the medicine of the 21st century? Or that the power of nature can win over the ignorance of man? If you can, you will know why our mission is to get Shungite to the masses. You are entering the Shungite Zone with Stephanie Dietz, Nancy Hopkins, and friends. This is the Shungite Radio Show produced by Cosmic Reality Radio and simulcasted over HaggieShackRadio. And welcome to the Shungite Show. It is it's May, isn't it? May 8th, 2018. And my name's Nancy Hopkins. With me is my co-host, Stephanie Dietz. And she's going to introduce our guests, of which I can't tell you how appreciative I am that they're here. This is going to be an awesome show. So, Steph, I'm turning it over to you.
Welcome, everybody, to the Shungite Show. Today is Tuesday, May 8th, 2018. And today we have a beautiful guest that I'm just so honored and grateful and giving thanks to have Keegan Reed join us today. Keegan's mission is to share the truth of the Sasquatch people from a place centered in love. He works with the Cherokee and Blackfoot medicine, and he was given the name Whispering Wind Eagle by the Sasquatch people. We also have Derek Condit with us, and he is with Shungite Honey and the Shungite Beehive Project. And before we open the show, the ancestors has asked us to do a prayer, to have Keegan lead us in a prayer, because the seventh generation principle taught by the Native Americans say that in every decision, be it personal, government, or corporate, we must always consider how it will affect our descendants 7 generations into the future. We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children. And grateful and honored to have us all in the circle today, archiving this information for 7 generations. So, Keegan, I'm turning it over to you for the prayer.
Well, first I want to say thank you to all of you for having me on as a guest on your outstanding, excellent program that I have listened to many episodes that I've really, truly enjoyed, and I've learned a great deal from you. And so I thank you for the positive, loving work that you all are doing. And I also want to begin with acknowledging that we are all one together, that we are all of the creation of our great Creator, sometimes called by many names, but today I will refer to Wakan Tonka, to God, to Winikia, to Jesus Christ, to the Holy Spirit. And so right now I just want to thank all of our fellow loving spirits and those that assist us through the Great Spirit, that we are all concentrating on being one together, serving the highest good of humanity and of all creation, that we acknowledge our mineral brothers and sisters. We acknowledge those that swim in the waters. We acknowledge and we send love to the plants, to all of the living plants, and we send love to all of the four-legged animals and beings. And we also send love to all of the spirits in the hidden realms that are here with us. And right now I ask permission to not only be able to access my personal guides, but also to access the guides of all of those that are listening now. And I ask that we all connect with our higher selves, and that we connect with the pure, loving, white light energy of the Creator of Wakan Tonka. Now that we are all in that sacred space-time place, I ask that Wakan Tonka, that Jesus Christ, send in the holy, loving, ministering, and doctoring angels to assist us. I want to acknowledge the Steyahama, the Intuani, the Janu, the Choanito, the Scanicum, the Sasquatto. I want to thank them for coming back to us and merging with us and helping us so that we may learn the truth of the nature of this experience that we call life. I ask now that all of the loving spirits, let us together acknowledge the loving spirits of the North. And we thank you, all the loving spirits of the North, all the loving beings of the North, we acknowledge you and we thank you for your assistance. I want to acknowledge all the loving and benevolent and beneficial and helpful spirits of the East and all of the loving beings of the East. And I thank them and I send love, honor, and respect to all of them for assisting us here and now. I send love, respect, and honor to all of the loving spirits to the south. I thank you for being here with us, for listening with us, for listening through us, so that we may all walk in balance on the red road, and that we will better learn the path of service to others and get away from the black road, which is purely service to self. And I want to thank all of the loving spirits to the west. I send honor, love, and respect on behalf of all of us to the loving spirits of the west. I thank you, Wakantanka, and I send peace and love. I thank the spirits of peace and love and joy and cooperation, kindness and goodness and awareness. I thank you, Great Spirit, that we come together as your children. And I want you to just now begin to concentrate on the goodness that will come from this wonderful interview. And I also ask that our guides, the angels, the Sasquatch people, assist us in that we do not have any interruptions through this medium that we are communicating through. And so I ask that the line of communications be kept clear and open, guarded and protected. I also ask that the work of Nancy, of Stephanie, of Derek, and all of those of you that are involved with these projects of good and love and light, that you are protected, that the spirits of love and life from Wakantanka, the angels, the benevolent Kachinas, the benevolent Steyahama, the benevolent Intuani, the loving Janu, the loving Sasquatch people, and all of the animal nations, and all of the mineral nations people, and all of the plant kingdom, and all of the water, and all of the air, that we are all together, and all of the loving spirits of the hidden realms, that we are cooperating together for the great work that Wakantanka has set before us. So right now, I'm just going to pull away any negative energy that could impact the show, that could impact the work that we are doing. And so I'm pulling that energy away right now using a method called dowsing. And as you can see, it's just a simple little cork on a string, but it's a very powerful healing tool. And I've become adept at dowsing. And so I'm asking now that our guides, with the assistance of all of those that are here with us, are pulling away all of that negative energy. And this could come from anything from thought forms to any stumbling blocks that we put before ourselves, to any vows or oaths that we may have taken that could be a stumbling block to our path. I ask that any generational curses on any and all family members of any of those listening in addition to those that are involved with the show, that all negative energy be pulled away, and God, Wakantanka, will place that energy into a void. And that energy, it's going to be neutralized, it's going to be scrambled, and it's going to be turned into pure divine love. Pure divine love of God. So all of that energy is being pulled away right now as I say this prayer. And I want to thank you for this opportunity, for us to be able to come together to serve a higher purpose, to benefit the world, to benefit each other, and to benefit everything around us. That energy is being pulled away now, and it is done. So right now I ask that the Wakantanka, the Holy Spirit, all of our helpers, I want to send loving healing energy now. Loving healing energy now. Loving healing energy. I'm sending loving healing energy. Protection. I'm sending protection to you. I'm sending protection through the power and the authority of Wakantanka, of Jesus Christ, of Wanikia. I send protection from the holy, divine angels and archangels of God. I send protection from all of the loving, benevolent spirits and beings of God's creation. I send protection to all of you now. I send protection for the good work that you do, past, present, and future. I charge your energy. I change the water structure of your body so that it is in alignment with the Holy Spirit, with Wakantanka. That if you have any ailments, that they are passing away. They may pass away in their own time, but the ailments are leaving your body. You are healing. You are healing right now. Your DNA is being upgraded. You're being activated. With pure love, pure light, I ask that the white light surround everyone that is listening and that everyone that is participating. And I thank you, Wakantanka. Uta Eya Aho. Can you hear me?
Yes, I don't know what happened to those two.
Okay.
Are you guys there?
Yes,
Yeah,
we
I found my
are.
mute button. I'm here.
Okay. So that's the prayer today.
Thank you, great spirits. Thank you. So let's get right into it. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So, Keegan, let's just start with you. Thank you again for the opportunity in sharing your mission of the Sasquatch people with us, the guardians of the earth. So why don't you just briefly start out with, who are the Sasquatch people?
From my understanding, the Sasquatch people are an original creation of Wakantanka, of the Great Spirit. They are a very spiritually evolved people. They are a people. They are our elder brothers and sisters, and they are also connected with the, I know that maybe not all of them, but a good number of them are connected with the Pleiades, which the Native Americans are also connected with the Pleiades. But there's a long kind of history because they've been around so long, so it's hard for me to really give a brief explanation of who they are. But the oldest religions in the world, for instance, Jainism, was of the worship of forest spirits. And this was like in southern India. Sri Lanka is an island south of India. And so the Yaka traditions, all of those traditions, the Rakshasas, the Yakshas, the Tibetan traditions, up through Buddhism. There's many stories of the Yakas and Yakshas with Buddha. Essentially, the Sasquatch people are guardians of the earth. They are guardians of humanity, and they are guardians of the Wakan, of the holy people.
And Derek, are you there?
I am.
So Keegan mentioned before it's destiny that we've all been brought together sharing our missions. And in Derek's mission of working and weaving energy with the bees, he also works with the Sasquatch. So why don't you tell a little bit about how you started working with the Sasquatch and how it brought you to the bees?
Sure. Yeah, I've been, I'm not sure how to begin with this, but I've been familiar with the Sasquatch for a long time, many years. I guess it started more of a spiritual connection, an intuitive connection, many years ago. And then what kind of interested me was I think it was probably around 2012. It was actually my father, had approached me and told me he had a sighting on his property in California. So, and I hadn't spoken to anybody, about the Sasquatch people up until that point, or mentioned that I was familiar with them or anything like that. So what's interesting was my father was not familiar with them. So he didn't know, what they were, heard any stories or radio shows. I think he was probably about 79 when this happened. So I'll just tell you really quickly. What he did was he had 40 something acres in Northern California, and he was walking down his, there was a abandoned logging road. He's a rock hound, so his eyes were on the ground. He came around the corner, looked up, and how he described it to me, and he said, well, Derek, there was something down there. It was probably 8 or 9 feet tall, covered with hair. And I remember he had never heard of Bigfoot, Sasquatch, any of these terms. So he looked at me, and I said, okay, well, was it aggressive? What happened? He said, well, it was about 100 feet away from me. And I just stood there and stared at him, and he was just standing there picking berries off a bush. He didn't even see me. And he didn't say he said it. And I said, well, how long did that last? He said about a minute or two. And then it looked up, faced towards him, and just stood there and looked at him. And then it lasted about a minute, just looking at each other. And then the Sasquatch basically leapt over the bushes. He said it was amazing leaps and just a few steps, and he was out of sight. He didn't know what to make of that. So he told me that story, and I said, well, and I went on and told him a little bit about the Sasquatch and what I knew. And so that was pretty interesting to me. That was the first time I had mentioned it, that I had any knowledge of the Sasquatch people to any family members or anybody. So that was pretty interesting. And then I saw one myself last year, in person in Gold Bar, Washington. I was just driving to work one evening. The sun was setting, and it was just in a field off. I live in the mountains, the deep mountains of Washington State, and it was basically just kind of speed walking through a field toward the forest. Not real exciting. I wish I had more to say about it, but it was what it was. And he was kind of, real quick and took off. So, but yeah, since then, so I've gotten more into it and actually learned a lot from Keegan's show. So I'd followed Understanding Sasquatch for a long time, probably seen every episode or listened to every episode. So a lot of my information and knowledge comes from Keegan and his guests, which were amazing. So yeah, he's the one I learned a lot of it from, actually.
Thank you. Yeah, Keegan came into my awareness when a few weeks ago I had a lucid dream, and I was on Derek's property communicating with a female Sasquatch who we now know is one of the guides on his property. And it was with Derek's family and my daughter. It was just all the women. And I couldn't put any human words on this energy. It was all telepathic heart communication. And it was so real. And I woke up and I called Nancy and Derek and I said, I just can't explain this and put this into words, what had happened. And then the next day, synchronistically, Keegan was on doing one of his Understanding Sasquatch YouTubes, and he was speaking about the Sasquatch and what an honor it is if they come to you with the transmission of this, because it's complete divination, pure heart frequency, and those are the only ones they can communicate with. So now I was just totally honored, and I'm like, this is big, and we started communicating with Keegan. I sent him out Shungite, And here we are today. So Keegan, why don't you explain that into human words? Because you're putting the human words on this, and I know so many people out there have had communication in the woods or with these beings and maybe didn't even know what this heart blast was.
So you're ready to talk about the communication with the Sasquatch people?
Yes, please.
The Sasquatch people are very interested in reuniting with humanity. Right now, my understanding is this. I want the audience to know that much of this is my interpretation. And so I speak from my heart space, but I don't necessarily want to tell the audience that this is absolute gospel, but I'm going to try to speak as purely and as clearly as I can and speak truth as clearly and purely as I can. What I understand about the Sasquatch people is that when you are opening your heart space and you get to a place where you get beyond self and you understand the bigger picture of service to others, which is literally what the Red Road is all about. The path of a human being is really the Red Road, the road of life. Now, there's what the Native Americans call the Black Road, and the Black Road is service to self. Now, essentially, the Sasquatch people, they are of a love energy. They come from a frequency from the Creator. I have seen through many texts that they are referenced as, and I'm going all the way back to Buddhism and Jainism, they're referenced many times as guardian angels. Now, I believe that the energy that they come from is such a loving, pure energy. They generally only are going to connect with those that are getting into that frequency, because frequencies will harmonize. Frequencies that are out of that harmonization, they will not be interacting with. In other words, the people that have love in their heart and they interact with everything around them in a loving manner, those are who the Sasquatch people are interested in connecting with. Now, those that are on the Black Road of service to self, of trying to capitalize from a place of greed or from a place of untruth, they're not going to be blessed. It's just not going to happen. They may make some money, but they're not going to be blessed, and they're not going to be able to have a relationship with the loving spiritual beings of the Creator, which the Sasquatch people are a collective group of those beings. The Sasquatch people communicate primarily telepathically. I can tell you that the Sasquatch people are amazingly empathic. I'm just going to ask right now, I'm going to do some dowsing while we do the show. I'm just asking right now, are the Sasquatch people listening to our show right now? I'm sure that they are, but I want to ask. Okay. So yes, they are. They're listening to the show right now. The Sasquatch people communicate on a level of love. They also operate from a place of the heart, which, from my understanding, from my interpretation, from my Ieska, is that heart space is in the same space as God. And that space is space-time. It's literally space-time. And so there are many different methods to communicate with the collective conscious, which is the field of energy, from my understanding, that the Sasquatch people utilize to communicate. The best way to be in alignment with that energy is to harmonize your heart space to a place of divine, eternal, perfect love in balance with all the beneficial energies of the earth and all of the loving, beneficial energies and life energies of the Creator. And when you get into that place by either a multitude of different methods, one is to meditate, two is to pray, another is to burn sage and to do cleansing in that form. So there are many different ways that we can acknowledge our heart space in connection with the Creator by acknowledging that we are all one together. Once we have done that, the Sasquatch people are already in tune with us, whether we are in tune with them or not. But it's beneficial because they are already telepathic. They're already in that perfect heart space. So what we're doing is we're just harmonizing our heart space frequency to be in that frequency of love, of creation, of life. And once we have got to that place, when we pray, we instantly go to that place outside of space-time, which is where they exist. And this place is where you also dream. This place is where you meditate. This place is the place that we go when we pray, when we come before God, when we come before the Creator. This place is where you hear the voice of God, the voice of reason, the voice of direction, the voice that assists us on our walk of this life. And when we become sensitive to being able to hear the voice of God, we also can become sensitive to hearing the voice and the direction of the Steyahama, of the Intuani, of the Janu, of the Sasquatch people. Now, I would also like to add the Sasquatch people nation, they are very shamanic in their methodologies, in their culture. They're very shamanic. And I would say that probably their shamanic culture may be one of the oldest ones that we might know of on Earth today. They might be the oldest one. But they are part us and we are part them. So, an interesting thought that I read, I can't remember in which book, but it was kind of profound, was that every one of us that are living today have a shaman or a medicine man or a medicine woman somewhere in our genetic lineage. Does that answer your question?
Yes, it does. It's almost so simple. This is why I love the work that you're doing, that anybody can connect, with these guardians of the earth. And another simple way that, if this is over anybody's head and they don't understand where to start, another simple way to get the Sasquatch people in your area to notice you is just go out and pick some trash up off the floor or leave them some gifts. Work with minerals, crystals, shungite, anything like that. Those are some simple tips to get the Sasquatch to honor and love you and start opening up your heart space. Any other advice you can give on that, on speaking to that?
Yeah, certainly. For anyone that has either been doing this for a while or someone that is just newly getting started, perhaps you're listening to this now and you're like, wait, I thought there was like one Sasquatch person out in California or Washington somewhere named Patty. Well, that's where I started. I literally got started not knowing anything about any of this. Very limited knowledge. I mean, I had seen the Patterson-Gimlin film, and, I think we all saw that growing up. But, really, I didn't even really have much interest, quite frankly. I really was never too much of like a UFO kind of guy. I watched some of the ghost hunting shows for a while, for a few years, but never really. I did not expect. It was not even on my radar. Let me just put it that way. I had some experiences from my younger life, but we can talk about that more later. What I want to go ahead and cover here is for people that just want to get started with connecting with the Sasquatch people. I do kind of have a suggested basic protocol. And what I suggest is finding a place in the woods that you feel guided to in your heart. And it doesn't even have to be a place that's very far from your home. You might have a patch of woods that are a few blocks from where you live. It does not matter if it's within a city. It does not matter if I think if you really want to have like a more interactive experience with them, it may be beneficial to go out to a more secluded area, but it's certainly not necessary. Okay? I want to be clear on that. If you go to a park with some woods in the city, you can still interact with them there because they are interdimensional beings. And they can be wherever you are because they access that heart space, that time space where God resides. And so they literally can meet you just about anywhere. So people that think they need to just physically travel to go there, they can be anywhere they want. They can project their consciousness anywhere they want. But to give a basic protocol of what I do, I essentially, when I get to the woods, I usually am already praying. I'm usually already thanking Wakantanka, the Great Spirit. I'm usually already in a place of an attitude of gratitude in my heart space. And I'm also making sure that I am not setting any expectation in my heart that whatever happens is exactly what God wants to happen, and that I don't place my desires on the outcome of what I may gain from the interactions that day, no matter how subtle, that I will be completely content, satisfied, and fulfilled by whatever it is that they want to show me that particular day. If they show me anything that even seems obvious, because sometimes they operate on a level of pure subtlety, and they're teaching us to pay attention to small details. So what I do next is I usually, and what I recommend, and I'm not the only person that does this. I know that there are other people that do something very similar to this. But essentially, acknowledge that we are one with God, that we are one with all of creation. And that's a Buddhist thing. It's a Native American thing. It's a very common thread, I will say, spiritually. Now, when you acknowledge that you're all one, you need to maybe perhaps kind of meditate, but you don't have to make this a long, drawn-out process. This can be a pretty simple, short process. But essentially, you're truly connecting with everything, with the entire metaverse, cosmos, universe, God, all plants, all rocks, all minerals, all water, all air, all fire, all hidden realms. You're literally connecting with everything. And you acknowledge that connection with the Sasquatch people. Now, I don't normally do this because it depends on if other people are around or not. But if other people are not around, sometimes I would recommend even calling out with your voice. Hey, it's Keegan. I'm here. I'm just here to be a blessing to you and to love you and to get to know you and share in this experience of life together. Just let them know that you're there. And some people do it like a wood knock or two. I don't bother wood knocking too much anymore because they're so telepathic. But I think calling out, one thing that I want to emphasize that I encourage everybody is always use honor, respect, and love. Honor, respect, and love are the three keys to connecting with the Steyahama, the Sasquatch people, the Janu, the Intuani. Okay? So with that said, you go in with the intention of being purely respectful, keeping your heart space open to a very loving place, and showing honor to Great Spirit. I mean, I imagine that God is there with me. I imagine that Wakantanka is there with me because he truly is. He's all of us. And so at that point, you go in and you interact and spend whatever time that you want to spend there. And what I have found is that I've had good results. And for me, this started in December of 2015. But giving them, for instance, I started out giving them like apples and pears and leaving them on a stump that I felt guided to. And but I want to continue on with the protocol. When I leave, I'm behaving respectfully in a loving manner with honor to all beings, to all life, including plants, bugs, insects, everything. Like, it's just, it is an intention. And so you carry that intention like a flame in your heart. And you interact with everything with that intention of love. And so when you're leaving the gifts, then I communicate with them, hey, this is for you. This is just me telling you that I love you. These, sometimes when I first start with a new group, I'll take a bite out of whatever it is that I'm leaving for them. So they for sure know that it's safe. And they also love to share. They love sharing. A lot of times if you'll leave 2 apples, they'll eat 1 and leave the other one. Just because they're so in tune with sharing. They're amazing. So at the end, when you leave, then you thank them. You show gratitude. And you thank them for the opportunity of interacting with them. And you thank Wakantaka. And again, you acknowledge that we are all one together. And so just thanking them at the end, again, showing that respect. If you think about it, guys, I would put it like this. You know how you ever walked into like a home in Japan, for instance, and they just have this very reverent way of acknowledging their space. They come into that space, they treat that space respectfully. When they leave, they bow and they leave respectfully. I'm not saying you have to bow, but it's about intention. And so by carrying that intention of love, honor, and respect, you're going to get their attention. And they are definitely going to notice you. And they're going to love you. And if you're out there and you do good things, if you are picking up trash, if you are helping whatever it is that comes across your path, interact with it in a positive and loving manner. And that is the protocol that I suggest in beginning to get to know them. You don't really need to do wood knocks. You don't need to do whoops. I do whoops occasionally just for fun. Just for fun because I think it's entertaining to them on some level. They do have a sense of humor. And they are a lot like us, and yet they are a lot different than us. So those are my suggestions on protocol. Does that answer your question, Steph?
Yes, it does. And what we're really saying here, and this is why your work is so important, is because we're bringing back the 7 grandfather teachings. I mean, long before the environmentalists and everybody in the world was talking about carbon footprints and sustainability, the indigenous people lived in balance with the world around them. And this is what the Sasquatch is telling us. And it's been already defined in their language because they taught us we are all related. We're all related and respecting and everything in life. So, they didn't even have a word for ecology. Respect for the earth was so ingrained in their lifestyle that just one word would be too limiting. So I know that you've said before, the greatest human beings master the 7 grandfather teachings and live them with focused, full intent. And those are honesty, truth, humility, love, wisdom, courage, and respect. And what you had said before where in our lineage, we've all had this shaman or this being or this guide we can connect to. And that's what I feel the gift of the Sasquatch people is giving us now. Just as the gift of Shungite has given people a tool to take their power back, the gift of the guide of the Sasquatch is also doing that for people to bring back the Native American principles for a sustainable earth. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely.
I mean, when we're shifting it this way, because These are the communities that we're going to be creating. These are the teachings we're bringing back. These are the things that the elders are going to be teaching our grandchildren. You know, there is not going to be any more educational institutions or anything like that. This is what we're going to be learning.
Yes, they have a lot to teach us, and we have a lot to learn. But the thing that makes me very happy is that people truly are beginning to pay attention now. Like, I really see that there is something taking place. There are truly more people becoming aware, really aware of their existence, and it's wonderful. Because it's going to cause this domino effect, this avalanche of awareness that is going to do nothing except help us. It's already awesome. But I am so grateful that they are making themselves known to more and more people. I guarantee you, every person that sincerely sets their intent, that wants to get to know them, they will provide that opportunity. Now, it's up to you to maintain that relationship. You can start a relationship with them and blow it. I don't recommend doing that. I would not recommend beginning to get to know them until you've kind of come to terms with, okay, I'm in alignment with being a good person. I'm going to do this for the rest of my life, and I'm going to serve others. Then if your intent is in that place, then go ahead and begin to forge your relationship with them. If you're not sure if you're a good person or not, and you might make some terrible mistakes and be disrespectful to them somehow, I would hate for anybody to burn the bridge of the relationship with them because it's so special. So just be careful about, making sure that you're in the right place to begin forming this relationship, because all kinds of things can happen. I'll just give you, for instance, like in December of 2017, they started manifesting things around me pretty much very early on, even in the first few months of 2015 when I first got started. And I probably should mention that the first time I ever even thought of them, which was in December of 2015, they scared me terribly the first day. The first day that I ever went into the woods to even look at tree structures or just even look around, like just to explore after watching, binge watching some Sasquatch YouTube videos. Has anybody ever done that before? Because I certainly have. And around that time, I just watched a documentary called Not Your Typical Bigfoot Movie with Dallas and Wayne, which I'm glad to say that I did get an opportunity to communicate with Dallas before he passed away. And I do plan on making that interview available on Understanding Sasquatch now that it has returned to YouTube. There's a lot of things that I have that's going to be coming out that I never shared in the first go-round of the first 100 episodes, or how many ever episodes we had, somewhere around that range. But all those episodes are going to be going back up too. But the thing that I wanted to point out is that they do some really cool things. So many people have had to manifest marbles or manifest feathers. My friend Christopher S. Jacobs has had them manifest something inside of his car, and his windows and doors were locked. And he went to go put on a slipper the other day, and they had put a feather in his slipper in his closet. And so they do fun stuff. But at any rate, they leave these stick lifts on the ground. In December of 2017, I went to this place called the Board Camp Crystal Mine. That if you look it up, it's a place that's been on a program with Josh Gates called Expedition Unknown. MUFON has called it one of the most paranormal and active hotspots in the United States. They have levitating crystals, quartz crystals, levitating boulders. They have orbs. They had UFO activity. So I wanted to go down there and check it out because I felt a really strong pull that the Sasquatch people wanted me to go. I was like, okay, what am I in for? So I just got in touch with them and said, hey, can I come down? And they said, yeah, come on down. So I went to go visit, and it was really awesome. I had a great time getting to know the owners, Cheryl and Orwell, and they're very loving. And they've had extraordinary experiences with the Sasquatch people since I introduced them to them, and they're working on building their relationship with them now. But just as a for instance, in December of 2015, I had an experience there in November of 2017 that they manifested a rock on a picnic table where we had left out gifts. And it was a rock about the size of one of the cookies that we placed on the table. I ended up giving the rock to Cheryl, the landowner, because I just felt like it was the right thing to do. And so I just followed my intuition. Although I'm not gonna say I wasn't somewhat interested in maybe taking that stone home myself and meditating with it, but I thought, no, I'm not going to do that. That's selfish. So I gave it to Cheryl, and then on my next visit back in December of 2017, I really had intention of, it would be lovely if I could get one of those that I could take home and meditate with. And on that particular night, it was in the evening, we had placed out food, and they manifested this quartz rock right on the picnic table, right beside me, within 60 seconds of placing the food gifts on the picnic table. Picnic table was completely clear outside of the gifts that we had placed. And within 60 seconds, they had manifested this crystal on the table beside me. It blew me away. Now, the time before in November, it was even more extreme than that. They had dropped a big rock, what sounded like a 20 or 30 pound rock, I think. And we heard it clunk, so we walked away from the picnic table where we had set the gifts. We were away from the picnic table a few minutes. We came back to the picnic table, and that's when we saw the rock, the crystal that was there. Now, I'm not sure if the first one was a quartz crystal or not, but the one that they gave me was definitely a quartz crystal. It's not a traditional, crystal, but it's quartz. I'll just say it's quartz. And so what happened the first time in November was that I had an experience that was new to me. I had seen what appeared to be a reddish, orangish, brownish Sasquatch person. My impression was it was a male, approximately 9.5 feet tall. He was standing, probably about 100 feet away from us. But I only saw him with my third eye. And that was the first time that I had seen them with my third eye. I had been really working on trying to open and activate my pineal gland. So because it was one of my first experiences, I wasn't really sure whether to trust it or not, or if it was just an overactive imagination, or what was going on, because it was kind of new territory for me. And so what had happened was they were so kind that they gave validation that night. And so as insecure as I was about what was happening, I knew that I should say something, because Cheryl and Orville were there with me. They were the only two people that were there with me that night in November of 2017. And I just said, guys, I just want to tell you that I got an impression that there was a large reddish colored male standing on the path that we walked up to this picnic table. That's at a location called the event site at the Board Camp Crystal Mine. It's located in Mena, Arkansas. Anybody can make appointments to go there and go dig crystals and meet the landowners, Cheryl and Orville. They've become kind of like family to me. They're very sweet. At any rate, what happened is that we decided to leave to give them an opportunity to eat the food that we had left for them, which included like donuts, cookies, Pringles, corn on the cob, maybe a banana or two. I don't even remember what all we left, but that's generally the kind of stuff that I leave. Yeah, I give them junk food sometimes, but I think it's a rare treat, so it's not too bad for them. We started walking back down the trail, and as we got to that place where I had seen that reddish-colored male on the path that we walked up, he was right beside it, and right on the path was a couple of branches. In fact, I kept one of them. One was about 5 or 6 feet in length, and the other was about 4 or 5 feet in length. And they were made into a perfect cross. A perfect cross. And they were laying right on the gravel path that led up to picnic table. And it was approximately where I saw him standing with my third eye. So he gave us that validation, and we were shocked. We were stunned that we saw this. Next thing that happened was Cheryl likes to document what's going on the land, so she takes out her cell phone, which is an Android cell phone, and she begins to record video of the two sticks that are laid in a cross. We were already blown away by the rock that they had manifested on the picnic table. Well, what happened next was a first for me also. What happened next was that she started getting these orbs. I have a video of this on my Facebook, by the way, if anybody wants to check it out. Just go through my videos on my Facebook page. You can just look me up, Keegan Reid, Keegan Reid, Reid. And, but you'll be able to see the videos on my Facebook page. I'll go back and make sure that I have it set to public if it's not. I'll do that after the interview just to make sure, so that if anybody wants to, they can come take a look. But a bunch of orbs started flying across the screen of her Android phone. And then she started saying, "Oh my God, my legs are tingling." Well, I was standing right next to her, and my right leg started tingling. That was the leg that was closest to her. So they were literally touching us in energy form. And all these orbs, and I mean there were probably thousands of orbs that were flying across the screen. And my camera, I started recording, because that's what the recording is that's on my page, is the one that I recorded. I was recording her recording, because I was documenting it myself at the same time. Pretty serendipitous that we both had our phones recording at the same time while all this is going on. But I ended up keeping one of those sticks. It's in my study now. And it meant a great deal to me. So the nice thing about the Sasquatch people, what they've done for me is they've given me a lot of validation. And one of the things that I should mention that just happened recently, I went down there. I stayed the nights on like May 1st and May 2nd. And I had only seen their eye shine on 2 other occasions. One of them was at my local gifting area, and another was at this location. But I only saw the baby's eye shine, and the baby's eye shine was blue in color, and it was toward the tops of the trees. And if you're not careful, you could very easily confuse these with stars. Well, this particular night that was just on the night of May 1st, I was there with the landowner and another friend. And one of the things, it was after dark. We were sitting at a place that I had dreamed about, that they wanted us to sit and stay as a place that they felt like it was a good place for communication to take place. So we just kind of sat at this picnic table by the event site around a nice fire, and we were just having a great time. We were talking about things that had happened in our lives that were some of the more challenging things that we've gone through in our lives. And the next thing you know is that, we all feel that they are feeling very compassionate. We feel this strong sense of compassion sweep over all of us. Well, then we hear what sounds like these 2 huge footsteps that kind of swish through the leaves. It was like swish, swish, like this Sasquatch person was definitely doing this to get our attention, and it was right at the line of the woods, about 35 feet away from us. So Orville got up from the table and he started walking over toward, and so did I, and so did our friend. We got up and we started walking toward where they were walking, not getting too close, but we walked over in that direction. And then Orville said, "Hey, can you give us another sign that you're here?" And then when he said that, I went ahead and said, guys, I've interacted with you for a long time. It would be really great if tonight you would give me the opportunity to see your eye shine very, very clearly, very absolutely, so I can just finally just tell everybody I have absolutely seen your eye shine beyond the shadow of a doubt. Well, next thing you know, we moved back to the table, and they had placed this crystal on the table that we were sitting at, right next to where I was sitting, and a toy. Now, as we're sitting there, I start to see 2 white eyes light up and then dim. Their eyes were so bright, they literally lit up an area of the woods. It was awesome. Then another one did it. And then another one did it. And then another one did it. They were turning them on and off for me. They were pure white in color. They were doing both eyes. It was incredible. And they were in variants of probably 50 to 100 feet from me doing this. And everybody was seeing it that was looking. And everybody was. And so I literally got to see eye shine 30 to 50 times that particular night. In addition, as we were sitting there, they moved a crystal that was on another table, a clear both ends terminated quartz crystal that somebody else had left there as a gift. They moved that from that picnic table over to our picnic table, literally manifested it right there. Then shortly after that, they manifested another rock as we were all sitting at the table. I took out my camera to take a picture. I turned my flash on to take a picture. There's another rock there. So the things that they can do, they can pull things, like for instance, Christopher said, like a rock may set in 2 or 3 or 4 dimensions. It may set in 2 or 3 or 4 shades of frequency. And so all they do is they take it from that frequency and they just change the frequency slightly. It may actually be in that dimension that they're interacting in, which Native Americans believe that the Sasquatch people have their own dimension. And all they do is they change the frequency slightly and they just place it in our dimension. Boop. There it is. So that's how they're manifesting things from my understanding at this point. Now, I'm not saying that's absolute, but that's also what my friend Christopher S. Jacobs, who's a psychic, he's picked up on. And we talked about that in our first return inaugural episode of Understanding Sasquatch that just went up on YouTube this last week. And I would like to ask everybody to, look up Keegan Reed on YouTube and just look for Understanding Sasquatch. My channel on YouTube now, it used to be called Understanding Sasquatch, but I had to make a new one because the other one was completely, I'll just say, pirated. And, but yeah, please subscribe to the YouTube channel so that we can reach as many people as possible and get the truth out there. But they've done some really extraordinary things, and it's been a really eye-opening experience for me, literally, to be able to learn about them over a period of time and learn how to build a relationship with them. And so the one thing that I want to try to communicate to others is how to bridge this relationship building and get people to the place where, we're growing and evolving and we're operating from a place of love instead of a place of fear.
And we have 2 minutes to break, so I'll just kind of,
Sure.
And, May 1st was last Tuesday, and that was a very powerful day because it was also in synchronicity the Master Saint Germain Ascension Day. And as we know, he's the Kohan of the 7th ray, the purple ray, the violet flame, and the sponsor of the United States of America. So we're all learning alchemy here. And, they really do give some amazing gifts. And like you said, if they are from the Pleiades, we got a nice gift from them because one of my friends, he was walking down the street and he found this amazing tree, doused it. Yes, it was a Palladian vortex. They gifted him a stick that turned into a powerful wand, a talisman of the violet flame that he gifted to my daughter. And I knew at that time that was a gift from the Sasquatch.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so people that are out there dowsing and you're finding Palladian vortexes, know you can connect with the Sasquatch people through those also. And another thing they did for me was, after I had the dream of them and they came to me and now I knew they were my guides, they told me that I had just moved and they put me in a new house. I'm here, which is on the water. Well, a couple days after I move in, I find out that they're shutting down the bridge that connects my island to the mainland and that they're going to be doing construction on it for a year. And I have to hear all this noise in the background. And my Sasquatch guide came to me and said, well, Stephanie, you came here to build a bridge, didn't you? So that had manifested in the 3D for me.
That's super cool.
So let's take a break, 5-minute break, and we will be back.
Okay, great.
It's actually 4 minutes. It's Jessica Aliseri, Water.
All I want is the water. All I want is the sea. To feel that sunshine, that warm ocean breeze. I know life is good with a routine, but sometimes I need somewhere to be free. I will search until I find somewhere to calm my mind and feel all the good vibe inside. Wash with the water, wash in the sea. Live by the water, live to be free. Heal with the water, just feel the peace. Let your mind wander and let it all be. This earth is a privilege that some may not know. Don't take it for granted, 'cause we reap what we sow. We are so blessed to have what we have. Share good intentions and it'll all come back. I will search until I find somewhere to calm my mind and feel all the good vibes inside. Wash with the water, wash in the sea. Live by the water, live to be free. Heal with the water, just feel the peace. Let your mind wander and let it all be. All I want is the water. All I want is the sea. To feel that sunshine, somewhere to be free. Wash with the water, wash in the sea. Live by the water, live to be free. Heal with the water, just find the peace. Let your mind wander and let it all be. Let your mind wander and let it all be.
And we are back. You're listening to the Shungite Show. I guess I'll just do it. I'm not sure Steph's back. You're listening to the Shungite Show, and this is Nancy Hopkins. We've got Derek Conduit with us, and Keegan Reed, and of course Stephanie's here someplace. Derek, the Sasquatch guide that you have with you, did she like that song?
Yeah, I wanted to mention that to you. That is a beautiful song, and yes, because it's my wife's guide, and she's sitting right here next to me on the other couch. And yeah, you can definitely say they enjoyed that one.
Because I was looking at the list that I had ready, and I kept hearing, water one, water one, water one. So apparently they knew the song.
Yeah, that's funny.
What is the name of the song and the artist? I loved it too.
Well, I don't think she's very well known, but I don't know artists. But her name is Jessica Allissery, Allossery, and it's called Water. I got her off of YouTube. Somebody sent me the and she's got quite a few others. But Jessica Allissery. I'll send you the tape if you want it.
Thank you for sharing that. That was very beautiful.
Well, I think the Sasquatch wanted to hear it.
Yeah.
So, Derek, do you have any questions for Keegan or any stories you'd like to share regarding your encounters and your guides?
Or maybe we should ask Derek, ask the Sasquatch what they would like us to talk about. And does she have a name? Does she have a name, Derek?
Yeah, it's Secta, actually.
Secta.
Yeah, Secta. And actually she told me to tell the story of, cause when Keegan was telling stories, of particular 3D objects, about when it happened to my wife, daughter, and I in the woods, last year. Because we live so remote, we don't come up on, and I prefer to be on hiking trails where there's not many people, because, you have a dog off the leash and it's just more private and enjoyable. So we go out in those type of areas. So we went up a logging road, basically, that they shut down some years ago. And there's nobody else out there because there's only a small parking area, and you'll know if somebody's around there. So we hike up in the mountains a little ways, go up the logging road and hike around, just sit down, have a little snack, and we hear and my daughter and wife ask me, is anybody here? So I focus, tune in, and I pick up on a couple beings just kind of back in the woods, and that pretty much that moment we hear a big thump. I just pretty much assumed they're hitting on a tree, giving us an acknowledgement. So I kind of smiled, asked them if we could bring them something next time. So long story short, we enjoyed our day. Not much more happens at that moment. So as we're leaving, we're walking down the same path, and you can see the cars down below, and we're walking down the trail, and all of a sudden, I think it was my wife Maureen looked down, cause her and my daughter were right in front of me, and there was a small blue crystal, bracelet hung on a small branch right in the middle of the trail. And you can't miss that. You couldn't have avoided it. It wasn't there when we came up. And again, go ahead.
That's awesome.
Oh, yeah. It was, we still have it. In fact, it's sitting right here next to me. So yeah, they looked at it and they got kind of stunned, looked at me, and I smiled and I said, yeah, it's just what you think it is. So I kind of intuitively looked into it a little bit. It appeared like maybe they moved it from somewhere else is what I was picking up on. So that was kind of interesting hearing that on your first Understanding Sasquatch show, how they can, relocate, I guess you should say, items. And it might have even been a gift that somebody lost in the woods at another time, and they decided to give to my daughter and wife. So it was really neat. It's like a Christmas tree ornament, just kind of hanging on a little branch right in the middle of the trail for us. So yeah, that was really neat. So that's one of the stories we have. I've actually been out a lot here recently, in our new location, gifting, and Keegan again has inspired me to get back into that. So I've got a couple of new locations. So I've been gifting, shungite nuggets. I went out with my daughter the other day. We did that with some fruit. And that was bad too. I took out some, at least they were organic chocolate chips as a little treat. So I left that. And on an interesting note, I went out there by myself the next day. And before I leave the house, I connect with them as well, cause they know you're coming out, and I'll just kind of give them a heads up. Hey, I'm coming out. I'd really appreciate any interaction you have. And then I just send them loving, healing energy to the whole forest and everybody in the forest, which includes the Sasquatch people. So I'll go out there and hike around. So in this one instance, just 2 days ago, I sat down, and it's a rainforest. So think really dense, ferns everywhere, moss hanging from the trees, evergreens everywhere. So I sat down and have a snack and do a little short meditation. And I like to ground out there, so I'll admit it. I'll hug a tree now and then, and go out there and, send them love to all of the trees. And after doing that, I sat down, and there was a small mound off to my right with just other tree stumps and stuff around it. And I glanced over after maybe meditating 5 minutes, and there was a large fern branch that was poking up behind this tree stump, and real slowly it disappeared behind the log and the mound. I was like, you have got to be kidding me. And of course it went away. It never came back up. I intuitively looked into it and whatnot, and it was just that, a sign. And just a little bit before that, I had mentioned to another friend on Facebook that I was walking through the forest in the same area, and I was trying to connect with him. I said, if you're here, because I'd heard him actually walking, because occasionally I can hear him walking in the area near me, whatnot. And I didn't see anything, but then I stopped, said, can you come a little closer? Then I looked straight ahead, and two branches about the diameter of your index finger snapped right in half, right in front of me. And I said, no way. And I looked to the left about a foot, bam, they did it again. Just snapped right in front of me, and just dropped it on the ground as a little acknowledgement. So I get lots of stuff like that. It's a lot of fun, and I agree with Keegan. If you go out there with the right intent, have love in your heart, don't go out there just, breaking branches and stomping on plants, and, go out there with the right mentality and frame of mind and love, and you're going to have interactions, and just be open to it, because you're going to see them, and just pay attention.
I couldn't agree more. Very well said, Derek.
And then you answered. I was going to say, she asked me, I have questions, and listening to you in the first half of the show, you pretty much answered everything I wanted to ask you. But then I do have one question left. For Keegan, I found that they prefer white a lot. So, at least that's what I get intuitively led to bring them, be it shells or feathers, as you mentioned, but the color white. Is there some other preference maybe you know
of? It's funny that you ask. Well, interestingly enough, I felt like I should be burning a white candle as we were doing this show, which I am. Synchronicity again.
Yeah.
I'm also burning a white candle.
Wow. That's interesting. I found that they love blue. They love blue. Now, this is going to make you laugh. They also love, and I don't know why yet, but I do know this to be true. They love those Mylar balloons. They love them. I don't know if it's the little ones that love them, but for some reason, a blue Mylar balloon, gangbusters, big hit every time. Big hit every time. They love it.
You've got to be kidding me. I saw one of those last year.
I'm serious as a heart attack. They love blue Mylar. Blue Mylar balloons makes them so happy. They can't even stand themselves. Why? I can't tell you, but I do know they love them. The children, the little ones, I think just love them.
Yeah, they really do, because my daughter had a birthday party here on Saturday, and one of her friends got her a gift and wrapped the gift in a blue Mylar balloon. I'm not making this up.
Oh.
And I swear, and the girl was so happy. The mother came to me and said, I know this sounds weird, but my daughter wanted to wrap this in the old balloon she had from her birthday, just like floating around my house. And I'm like, oh, that's really cool. There was such a synchronicity with this blue.
Listen,
and the sapphire, mineral. Go ahead.
That is synchronicity all the way. And hold on, you just mentioned something else that was synchronistic with me. You just mentioned the sapphire mineral. Can you continue with what you're saying? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
That's okay. Well, the blue synchronicity started on Saturday with the balloon, and I chose to wear blue that day. I don't know. I was just really channeling the sapphire. And then one of my friends came, and he was wearing the sapphire bracelet, and he said that the sapphire is the stone of divine favor. So there's more to know about this and the New Earth communities that we're going to be building in the Smoky Mountains and different things. But this has just come into my awareness over the weekend, so I'm sure they're going to be giving us more information on the sapphire energy.
Well, I know this may sound a little bit far out there, but for some reason I just got the strong feeling, and I've had it before, but it just came to me again, that somehow this blue, this Mylar, this sapphire is all connected to what? Now, this is going to be controversial for some of you, so I think it's connected to the firmament. I do. I think it's connected to the firmament. Now, I don't really want to go down like the flat Earth road, but I think there's something about the firmament that's attached to everything that we've just discussed here. So I don't know exactly what, but I'm just going to plant that seed, let it set in the background, and maybe the information will come at a later time.
Right. I feel that there is a lot more information and foreshadowing coming up with this, so we'll just all have to keep each other with our downloads and information. Derek, does your guide have any information on the sapphire?
Well, I had to mute because I was starting to laugh when Keegan was talking about the blue mylar balloon, because I had stumbled up on one last year. And it was a piece of one. So he's picking up, picking trash, but how odd is that to come up on a portion of a blue mylar balloon in the woods? So I thought that was pretty unusual. No, other than, I'm trying to see, gifting. They're open to gifting from anyone, anytime. And as Keegan said, you don't have to go far out there. You can go in your backyard and just be, and again, hold that intent, the right frame of mind, and you'll get that interaction in one way or another, be it intuitively, or they'll come up and, go ahead and exchange items with you. And you don't need to be in the mountains. So don't get discouraged if you live in the city. Again, like you mentioned, maybe find a park if you're more comfortable there. Again, nature is beneficial that way, but don't feel that you're restricted by where you live, your location. Or if you think, well, maybe there aren't Sasquatch, maybe they're only in Washington State or here and there. No, they're not. They can locate themselves anywhere, anytime. So just, I wanted to put that out there.
Yes, Derek, that's important that you said that, because they literally can be wherever they want to be. And they don't necessarily have to be in that space physically. They can broadcast their consciousness to that space, or they can be right beside you but in a slightly different vibration, so that they actually are with you physically, but they're vibrating at a different dimensional frequency. So I've had them slap the walls in my house before. They did that for a period of time. I don't know. It kind of freaked me out a little bit when they first did it. So I don't know. I started meditating and putting like a white bubble of protection around my property and stuff. So I think maybe I kind of sent them a message that I was just making sure that nothing negative was in my home. And so I think they kind of went, okay, Keegan's pretty guarded about his home space. But as far as like going out and interacting, and for the longest time they were leaving stick lifts in my yard. They've left stuff right on my front porch. They left 6 candies on my front porch once, right after I went and asked them for like a blue and green marble out in the woods. I came back, it was like the next morning. I opened up the door around 10 a.m. after going out in the woods and asking them for like a blue and a green marble, because I was trying to get more specific. I'm always experimenting with all of this and with them and interacting, and it's all fun. I think they enjoy that as much as we do. But they left these 6 candies in like gold wrappers that, again, is kind of like mylar material. It's this golden glittery material, and also these candies. There was like a blue one, a red one, a green one, a yellow one. So not only they didn't actually give me marbles, but they gave me these. And again, it comes back to that mylar connection.
Which is so weird because, we're not supposed to be letting those balloons out because they're really endangering the wildlife. And, here we're in South Florida. They get in the oceans. The sea turtles choke on them. So maybe they're just cleaning up the mylar. It's very interesting.
I have a story about the mylar. I found one on my drive back home from the Board Camp Crystal Mine, which is about 3 hours from where I live. And on a tree on the side of the road, I literally saw a mylar balloon tied in a tree on the side of the road. So I got out of my vehicle, went and got the mylar balloon, and I said, I'm going to take this back to the Board Camp Crystal Mine and offer it as a gift to the babies and the young ones that are over there. So I did. I brought it down there. I left it on the table with the gifts, and I actually brought some other little figurine stuff. If you guys have followed my pictures, you probably have seen some of the stuff that I did. But at any rate, the funny thing is that not only did they and I put like a 10-pound rock on top of the blue Mylar balloon. I didn't want anything to blow it away, right? Well, the next day, there was a bow or an arch. You guys know what the bows or arches are, right? There was a bow or an arch less than probably half a city block away from where I had left the Mylar balloon with the gifts on the picnic table near the event site at the Board Camp Crystal Mine. And the next day, we discovered that Mylar balloon and some of the toys, and including like a plastic snowflake that I found in my town after Christmas time that had all this glitter and stuff on it. I just thought it was sparkly, so I thought they'd like it. Well, they took this snowflake, the Mylar balloon, and two of the toys, and it was placed perfectly under one of these arches, one of these bows that was relatively close to the picnic table. So they had removed the 10-pound rock. That was proof that they loved to play with the Mylar balloons. There was no doubt. I mean, we were all ecstatic when this happened. Well, on my next visit back, recently, they've shown the landowners a couple of other Mylar balloons. One was purple, again, violet flame. I think blue and purple are very significant to them, and they also have showed them another Mylar balloon. So since I initially took that blue Mylar balloon that I literally saw on the side of the road, which I believe the Sasquatch people were showing me, as for some reason it's something that they are either think is fun, the children like it or whatever, or it has some sort of significant connection for them from a place of symbolism. I can't tell you guys. I don't know yet. But what I can tell you is that there is some connection with like the blue Mylar, perhaps maybe even the purple, and then Derek has mentioned white. And so I have found they're not very fond of red. But that's as far as like the colors and stuff is concerned. I was checking out at the grocery store, and there were two Mylar balloons. One had an American flag on it, and the other was blue, and they were in the shape of stars. They were like, patriotic Mylar balloons that were on these kind of plastic straw stick things, and I put both of them on the table when I was there on May 1st. The only one that they took off the table, and they took it off the table within the first couple of hours, was the blue one. They left the one alone that had the red, white, and blue on it. So I feel like, and I've seen this numerous times, they seem to not mess with things that are red, or maybe they're not as fond of the color red. So I just wanted to throw that out there.
That's interesting you mentioned the blue and green, because we actually get blue and green marbles. We may have to compare images of the marbles and see how similar they are, and the ones you find and the ones that disappear on this end of where are you located at, Keegan?
I'm in Northwest Arkansas. And funny thing is, a blue marble, literally, I asked them for the color blue. I told them that I like things that are blue. So that way when I see that, specifically one time I asked for a cardinal feather because my mom loves cardinals and she's been connected with cardinals, for most of her life. She collects them, like statues and stuff and red glass and et cetera. So at any rate, on one night I just thought, I'm just going to ask them because I never see like cardinal feathers laying around. I just asked, can you guys place a red cardinal feather in my backyard tomorrow? I went outside and I asked them this. And sure enough, guys, I went out the next day, and I've never seen a cardinal feather laying on the ground. They've given me all these feathers, but I noticed they were never giving me red cardinal feathers. Again, that may be that they are not super fond of the color red. But this is the interesting thing. The next morning, I said, I'm going to give it to my mother as a gift so that she knows how real you are. And, guys, they gave me a red feather. It was under our rose Sharon bush in our backyard, a beautiful, perfect red cardinal feather. And I did give that feather to my mother, which I think was amazing. And these are just some of the things that they do, that they seem to connect so strong with our heart. And they knew that I wanted to give this as a gift to my mother. And they knew that I wanted her to understand how beautiful and how real they are. And for them to fulfill that request, to me, was very, very touching. And I just feel like they're family. I mean, I have a family love with them. Like, I feel like they're my big brothers and sisters. And, Christopher, I've not done a lot of past life research or anything like that. Generally, I've grown up in a more traditional Christian environment, so I've had to kind of like open my mind up a little bit to kind of be where I am now. But now that I've embraced a lot of the Native American tradition without abandoning my other, faith system of the past, I've never had to abandon my Christianity, so to speak. But what I have learned is that there's a lot more going on around me, and I think that the Native American traditions have actually helped to solidify my faith in God. And but I just really love how compassionate they are. I love how they interact with us. They literally will interact with you anywhere that you are. I mean, almost every person that I know that interacts with them, you can go out in the woods and interact with them. You can do that. But you literally can interact with them in your backyard. I mean, it's amazing what they can do, where they can go. They're not limited. They're just absolutely astounding. And I feel like my life has been just a series of daily miracles over and over again. Very rarely does a day go by that I don't have something that absolutely blows my mind happen, and I just love it. I truly do. It's having them in my life has been one of the most wonderful blessings I could ever imagine, and I really feel that because they have entered into my life, that they have helped me in so many different ways to become a better version of myself.
Absolutely. And they're assisting with us in the task to free ourselves and free ourselves as a humanity by widening our circle of compassion and by bracing all living creatures as a whole in nature. I totally align with what you're saying there. And, there can be a lot of distractions that come in the work we're doing or, any of this kind of stuff. So as long as we stay pure heart intentions and really focus on, the work you're doing, Christed light being, Native American prophecies, it is what it is. And it's all divine. It's all divine.
I feel exceedingly blessed, and I am grateful that so many people, I've learned that there are a lot of people that have had relationships with them for 30 to 50 years. It's just that there's been such a campaign, and again, I don't want to get on a negative track, and I'm not going to, but I'll just say this briefly. There's been such a misinformation campaign for such a long time, right, that many people feel shamed into not speaking out. But hopefully through the work that many of us are doing, that more people will begin to come forward and have pride and love and joy. I don't mean pride in a negative, sinful way, but I mean take pride in the fact that you're trusting in God. Take pride in the fact that you're developing yourself more spiritually. Be honored that the Sasquatch people love to interact with you, because it is a sacred thing. It is a gift from the Creator. I know it is. And if you're interacting with the Sasquatch people, I can tell you this: you are a good soul. You are a sincere, good soul.
I love absorbing your wisdom, and I know that it took so much courage and bravery to come out with this, and you had your own trials and I can't speak right now. You know what I mean? On this path with sharing, the truth of the Sasquatch, and we really honor you for that, because I know you had your own attacks and different things. I mean, we all have. We have come such a long way, but one thing is clear: we never gave up. Never gave up. And now we're all living the miracle of this love. And it is so magical and special every day.
It is. And I thank God that you guys have come into my life also, because I just felt like it was a divine appointment for us to have this interview today. And I felt a strong connection with you and Nancy and Derek, right away. And, I've been connected with Derek for a time, and I've been following the show for a while, but I think I had a spiritual connection with all of you. And obviously we do, because now we share the Sasquatch people in common, as well as Shungite. And all of these things they're stepping stones toward our spiritual development. And what it is that they're showing us the beauty, the joy, and the wonder of helping other people in every way possible, but mainly developing spiritually what seems to elevate everything else. As we develop on that spiritual path, as we develop with these healing tools, as we develop with these healing relationships, as we open up ourselves to the creation that is all around us, that Wakan Tonka made for us, we are all ascending together. And by one more person building a bridge of love and trust with the Janu, with the Intuwani, with the Steyahama, with the Sasquatch people nation. Every person that does this is elevating the spiritual awareness of all of humanity and Mother Earth. So I want to say thank you to all of you and to every person listening. If you are on the red road and you are focused on the path of service to others, I want to tell you that I thank you for that. And I give you honor, respect, and love for being in being on the path of service to others. Because you are making a beautiful difference in this world that needs you right now. And so thank you. I thank every one of you that are doing that.
Derek, are you there?
Yeah, I was going to say, can you hear me okay? Yeah, I do have a little input here because there's an impression that they wanted me to put through, and it was, you don't necessarily have to focus on the Sasquatch, but nature. So even if it's just a bird flying by you in your backyard or whatnot, or a beetle, or, something in your house, pick it up, take it outside. So they're saying, you don't have to focus on us. We're there, but we're all encompassing. It's nature.
Yes.
So think like nature, spirits, nature, and we're all one. As Keegan, I think Keegan said exactly that in the beginning. So they're making that real clear right now. They're putting that's great. Get excited if you have interaction, but don't make that your end all be all focusing on them. Just think love, nature. We're all one. Do the right thing and you'll intuitively know what to do. And then when it's time, if it's right, you'll have the interaction. And again, it can be interaction with animals near you. A bird flying by doesn't have to be a Sasquatch. So don't think that, I haven't seen a Sasquatch. I'm just not connected yet. No, not at all. It can be your puppy. It can be your parakeet. So I just wanted to put that out there and you wanted to make that clear.
Yeah, absolutely. When you go out, you want to pay attention to everything around you. And the one thing that they are teaching us is how to pay attention to subtle changes and subtle interactions, because they will interact through little animals, through little birds, through squirrels, through the different sounds that you'll hear. A lot of times I hear exotic bird calls that I've never heard before, ever. And they just make these exotic bird calls when they're out there. Or there's just so much that you can experience if you will just go out, spend the time, and get in that heart space, that sacred heart space, and just sit, wait, and listen. They will interact with you, and you'll be stunned by how many different, interesting things will transpire over time. And the more you do it, you'll begin to notice it's kind of like do you know how we all have our homes memorized and we know where things are in our homes? As you go out in the woods, you will begin to become more familiar with your gifting environment. And what will happen is you will become accustomed to the sounds that you hear. And I'm talking about over a period of time. We're talking about years here. Go out, spend time, and all of a sudden you'll begin to notice when you hear a different sound that is unusual. You'll begin to notice when you see a stick glyph that wasn't there the last time that you were there. You'll begin to notice when a tree was dragged from one place to another and a tree structure was made for whatever reason, which I believe a lot of times is very energy related. I think a lot of these tree structures are very energy related. A lot of the work that they do is in relationship to the energy of the earth and the energy of others around them. And certainly I believe that they are healers. But they also need to heal themselves, and they need to keep their energy clean because of all that's going on in our world today. And but yeah, just go out and spend time. That's one of the best things that I could recommend. And I really think that Derek really nailed it by, yes, pay attention to the little animals. Pay attention to the sounds of the animals. Pay attention to your environment around you and try to memorize. Try to memorize your path down. Try to memorize the trees. Try to memorize what's on the ground and what's not on the ground. Begin to look for those things that are slightly different. Begin to look for the energy portals. Begin to look for, if you're not into dowsing, begin to learn how to dowse. Dowsing has been a wonderful tool for me in being able to better communicate with them and to be able to better connect with the energies and especially the healing and beneficial energies of Mother Earth and of nature. There's a lot of information on dowsing out there, but whether it's with rods or with pendulums, I find that dowsing is especially beneficial. And, one of the other things that I've really got interested in, I started making tensor rings, which are a metaphysical healing tool. And then, of course, I also, and I believe that all this is just tied in together. I started working on orgonite projects, and so I'm holding up like an organite Cheops pyramid and the tensor rings. The things that they're leading me to over and over again point to healing and point to love and point to service to others. So, I think that so many people, especially that are I'm just going to use the term naysayers. It's interesting to me that the good majority of people out there that don't want to acknowledge kind of what's going on, which to me doesn't really bother me anymore. I'm not even concerned about those people anymore. But what I do want to say about them is that so oftentimes that negative energy will come from somebody that hasn't even spent time in the woods hardly. Or if they do, they certainly haven't spent time in the woods from a place of that intention, paying attention to what's going on around them. So people that are really out of tune, they're going to talk about a monster. They're going to talk about a wood ape. And quite frankly, there's money behind selling monster DVDs and selling monster. I mean, I just want to I'm not going to mention any names, but there are groups out there that people will pay as much as $1,500 to go on a Bigfoot monster hunt. To me, I find this to be appalling. But I've decided that I'm not going to try to directly change these things. It's not a war that I want to have. I don't want to go head to head with these people. I just want to let them do their thing. Eventually, one day, they're going to realize how off-center they are, and so will everybody else. And, they're getting away with taking a lot of money away from innocent, good people. And they're telling information that is false. And to me, that should hurt all of us. That should pain all of our hearts. And, we need, as human beings, to be honest. We need to follow the 7 grandfather Lakota teachings. that Stephanie had mentioned earlier in the podcast. We need to focus on being honest, being wise, being helpful toward one another. And so I'm just hoping that as the awareness raises of what the truth is about the Sasquatch people, that these individuals that are creating these television shows and all this stuff, you know, whether, I don't know, sometimes I wonder if some of that is from naivety. I hate to say this, but I'm going to say it, that I don't believe that it's naivety. I believe that a lot of the stuff that's been out there and that has come out is out there on purpose. They want people to be afraid. They don't want people to really get to know them. They want to keep milking people for money. They want to charge people to go out and go hunt the monster for $1,500 a person a pop, or $500 a pop. And they want to, you know, make money off their television programs, which are selling a monster. They want to make money with their Bigfoot conferences, which again is selling a monster. And I just pray to God, you know, right now, and I'm not calling anybody out by name. I'm not mentioning names because that's not what I'm into, and I'm not going to do that. And I've already promised myself going down this path that I'm not going to engage with any groups in particular, any individuals. Whatever people decide to do, that's going to be on them. That's between them and their relationship with God. But what I do want to say is that the information that I'm telling you here today, that you're hearing on this show, as God is my witness, is the absolute truth that the Sasquatch people are very real, they very much exist, and they are loving, benevolent beings. Now, there's also a lot of information out there about people coming up missing. There are other things out there in this universe that are not benevolent, that are not as loving. Some of them are just more neutral. But at any rate, a lot of things are kind of being pushed onto the Sasquatch people. And I really feel compelled to defend them from a lot of these subtle accusations that may be turning out later to not be so subtle. Maybe later they're literally going to accuse them of stealing children and hurting people and all this stuff. But it's not them doing this. It's not the Sasquatch people doing this. And so, unfortunately, it seems like a very strong driven agenda. It seems like it's got probably money behind it. Certainly, it seems like it's a pretty well-organized fraud is what I'm going to call it. I'm going to call it a fraud because the public of the world are being defrauded by these lies, by this untruth. I'm not saying that everybody has a positive experience with the Sasquatch people, because if you're a bad person, if you're an evil person, you don't have a good heart, they've seen you hurt a lot of other people, they see you rip people off, they see you steal from people, they're probably not going to like you too much, and yeah, they might scare the hell out of you. That might happen. But do I think they're killing people and taking babies? I definitely don't. So does that make sense? Do you guys know where I'm coming from on that?
Yes, I hear you and acknowledge you on all fronts. And, you know, in taking full responsibility for our actions, going back to the 7 grandfather teachings of being a good person, when I was going through these, and by the way, just a caveat, you know, another thing is people share this with your kids. Their DNA is already activated. They already are in tune with the 10 Indian commandments. Last year, my daughter went to school, printed them out, and taught the class.
That's awesome.
Yeah. So in the 7 grandfather teachings, Keegan, what I wanted to ask you to elaborate on is, you know, each one also comes with an animal. So the turtle truth is symbolized by the turtle. Bravery is symbolized by the bear. And then we have honesty, which is symbolized by the Sasquatch.
Yes.
And what I'm reading here is that the elders would say, never try to be someone else. Live true to your spirit. Be honest to yourself and accept who you are the way Creator made you. And that, again, is taking full responsibilities for our action and being our authentic selves walking this earth. So please explain this more.
Isn't that exciting that the one that they're connected to is honesty?
Yes.
Because
Huge.
the thing seeing out there with, like, you know, and I'm not going to call any specific names because, again, I don't want to go direct head-to-head. I don't want to go to war with these people. I'm not interested in that. But I think I can speak generally without completely, hitting the wasp nest with a baseball bat. But essentially, the fact that they are connected with honesty tells me that the Sasquatch people are literally in God's great design. And they are meant to help us on this path of being more honest with ourselves and to be able to come up against the lies of our culture. And so, people for the longest time, I had some interaction with the Sasquatch people when I was younger. I realized between the age of 11 to 13 years old, I saw a 25-inch print that was about a foot wide. And this was in Independence, Kansas, in the town that I grew up. And I thought it was somebody playing a joke on me that drew this footprint somehow in the mud. I didn't know how they did it, I didn't know that it was the Sasquatch people at that time. I thought that's what it looked like, and that's what I thought of. But that kind of scared me, too. And so I don't know if I really wanted to acknowledge that that's what it was. But I do know that they've been in my life for a long time, since I was a little boy. And if you've listened to some of the Understanding Sasquatch episodes, I talked about an experience that I had when I was as young as 3 or 4 years old. But I won't get into that here now. What I do want to say as far as the honesty is concerned, what we're seeing is that there are definitely people out there that are completely being dishonest, that are being like con men, that are defrauding the public. Some of this, almost all of it comes back to money. Almost all of it comes back to money and control. And there are some people that want to control the information flow, and they want to be the only ones that really know the truth. But what they did is they found an angle where they could make money off of the public that generally doesn't have this level of knowledge. So they're literally able to bilk thousands upon thousands upon thousands of dollars from the public that is not up to speed on the true nature of the Sasquatch people. And not only that, but they can paint a picture of fear so that people won't even get to know the truth because they're going to be operating from a place of fear. So they won't be in a place of love and going out and starting giving them some gifts. Because I've seen this over and over again. They turn this around. Oh, you go out there and leave a gift, they're going to rip your head off one of these days. Those wood boogers or whatever it is that they call them. Yeah, I hear them call them the most awful, horrible names. And then there was a show that even came out called Killing Bigfoot. How obvious do these people need to be? There are people that charge, guys, get this. I heard this the other day and I haven't validated it yet. But I heard there's some groups out there that charge thousands of dollars to go onto your property and verify whether you have Sasquatch on your property or not. And they're charging people thousands of dollars to go out and do this. And these are the same people that are painting them as monsters and dumb wood apes. And they want to go out and kill them. I didn't mean to beat this drum too much, but doesn't that offend you guys too? Doesn't it hurt your heart?
I had never heard of that a group would go out and try and claim they were verifying Sasquatch. That's crazy.
But doesn't that feel painful to you that people would try to do this?
It's disgusting.
Yeah. It breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. And I like to think that we as human beings are more evolved than this. But the way that I see people conning the public, the way that the public is not getting the truth. I thank God that we're here now talking about these things so that we can touch, just one more person that can get the real truth of what's going on here and what the bigger picture is. And I just want the Sasquatch people to help, and God and every human being that's alive and breathing that knows the truth to just help shine the light on this. Because I don't want to do it alone, and I can't do it alone. I need everybody to help. We all need to shine the light on this so that these people will be held accountable, and that our fellow brothers and sisters that are human beings here on earth will know the truth and not be led down this, I hate to say it, but it's so evil, it seems completely satanic to me. It seems completely satanic, completely dark, completely evil that anyone would ever go down this path of manipulation of the truth.
Well, it goes completely against all of the laws of Creator and what the Sasquatch stands for, which is being honest to each other. And that the highest honor could be bestowed upon an individual was the saying, "There walks an honest man, he can be trusted." To be truly honest was to keep the promises one made to the Creator, others, and to oneself. So Keegan, I honor you and I invite you to just honor yourself in all of this, because you are an honest man. And we can all come and trust you. Now you're trusted with the information that you're bringing in honoring the honesty of the Sasquatch.
Well, like I said, I truly love them, and I like people. I don't love I can't say that I love everybody. I try to. There are definitely people that, especially in regard to what I've talked about today, that I have feelings that I try to keep positive. But there are people out there that have been involved in this community that really have hurt a lot of people, and they continue to be dishonest, and they continue to hurt others. And the only thing that and I'm gonna get off of this, this rant about that by saying that I want my life to reflect love for my fellow man, and I want my life to reflect love for the Sasquatch people, and I want people to know that when they communicate with me, that they definitely are getting the truth. And I thank you for saying that, Stephanie, because being honest and truthful, following honesty, especially because it's one of the 7 Lakota grandfather laws for humanity. But I'm so honored that honesty is attached to the Sasquatch people. So, if I ever give anybody any information that's not absolutely on target, bullseye, honest, it may be inaccurate, but it will come from a place of honesty. And, everybody may, it's easy to get something wrong or mixed up or what have you. But I can tell you that my intention will always be intermingled with truth and honesty, no matter what. And taking the highest road of love for the benefit of all of us, including the Sasquatch people, who I also love very dearly. I mean, they are like family to me. And, I love you guys too, and I love all of our listeners, everybody that's listening. I do send love to all of you. And I thank all of you that are on the path of service to others and trying to help make this world a better place. I don't think necessarily that the Sasquatch people need our protection. But I feel like what it is that humanity needs our protection. Humanity needs us to raise awareness so that people won't be manipulated by these con men, by these frauds that are out there, by these horror movies, these documentaries that paint death and evil and killing and missing people. There's a lot more that I want to say about all that, but I need to think about how I can do it in a tactful way. But these are very, very serious issues, and I don't know if you guys know, but the number of missing people alone in the world, I think, is somewhere around, on an annual basis, is somewhere around 8 million people. And in the United States alone, about 800,000 children a year come up missing. And about 400,000 of those a year are never found again. And what I see is an agenda out there that literally is starting to point that into that red bullseye at the Sasquatch people. And what I'm telling you here now, everybody that's listening, it's not the Sasquatch people that are kidnapping these little children, that are taking these little children away. It is not the Sasquatch people, guys. And if you're paying attention to what's going on in the world, you know some of the information of who and what is behind all of these missing children. Do you guys, I don't think I need to say anything else. Do you guys understand what I'm saying there?
Of course we do.
Okay.
And in our chat room, we have people saying, thank you, Keegan, for shining your light, leading by example. I'm sending you a hug. Everybody's really enjoying the show. And they're also requesting, we have about 5 minutes left, that we end the show by giving thanks and closing this circle with a prayer. And we can even direct that prayer to the children and exactly what you just spoke to, however Great Spirit wants to do that. So before we start that prayer, why don't you tell them where they can find you, your YouTube, your email? How can people contact you?
Well, I would love everybody to find me on YouTube. Just look up Keegan Reed, and you'll find my YouTube channel. Look for the first episode of Understanding Sasquatch. And I got a couple of other things on there, like the secret origins of Bigfoot and the other one that talks about the Choanito and the Scanicum. I've only got 3 videos on my YouTube channel right now. I literally had to restart it all over from scratch. And so please do subscribe. You can email me directly at understandingsasquatch@yahoo.com. I do read every email, and I will get in touch with every person that contacts me. I don't blow anybody off. Nobody ever gets blown off, ever. And so if you reach out to me, I will be in touch with you, and I will contact you. And so I just send love out to everybody, and I think closing in a prayer is a wonderful idea, and I'm more than happy to lead that if you want me to.
Excellent, excellent. And again, you can find us at cosmicreality.net for your shungite, and Derek at shungitehoney.com with the Shungite Beehive Project. All right, Keegan, let's do it.
All right, so I'm just lighting some sage right now, and I'm just going to begin to ask, are my guides present and active and listening to this conversation right now? They are. Okay. Are the Sasquatch people here with us right now? Are they listening? Yes, they are. Is the Holy Spirit, Wakantanka, here with us right now? Is he listening? Yes, he is. Are there angels and archangels here with us right now that are listening? Yes, they are. So I want to, first I want to say thank you, Great Spirit. Thank you, Wakantanka, for this beautiful conversation, this beautiful interview that we shared today to talk about your truth, to talk about your beautiful creation, talk about the Sasquatch people. And I just ask Holy Spirit and the Sasquatch people and all of our guides, all of our higher selves, and all of our helpers, please pray with me right now. Everybody focus your intent. Please focus your heart space, and let's pray for all of these babies and all of these young little ones. And I just ask that the truth come out about the Sasquatch people. And I'm going to start sending healing, loving energy right now to all the young ones, to all the little ones around the world that are caught up in human trafficking, that are caught up in ritual satanic abuse, that are caught up in any kind of kidnapping of any sort, that are missing their mommies and their daddies, that are afraid. They need love. They need to know that somebody out there loves them and is worried about them and wants them to be safe and to come home. So I ask God, I ask the Sasquatch people, I ask the angels, to please help these little children. Be with them. Strengthen their little hearts. Please encamp an angel around every one of those little children. And everyone that is caught up in any kind of human trafficking or any kind of ritual abuse. Whether it's satanic or whatever dark energy these, whatever they are into, because they don't seem human to me. And I just send loving energy to all of these little children. And I ask that God and the angels and Sasquatch people come against anyone that is misleading the public about the Sasquatch people. And God, I don't mean this in a harsh way, but I ask, God, that you handle this. Whether it is you deal your judgment upon them or whatever it is that you need to do, God, you know the perfect plan. And I just ask that the truth, that these people that have been misleading the public, these people that are misleading the public with missing cases, that are misleading the public with untruth about the Sasquatch people, that are misleading, that they be held accountable, that the truth come forward, and that all of these plans and schemes and cons and frauds will turn against them. They will begin to crumble like a house of cards. They'll begin to fall because the truth, it's time for the truth to come forward. And the truth is love. And the truth is looking out for one another. And the truth is connecting with God. But together we can make a difference. Together we can fight in a loving way for the truth. And we can lead our brothers and sisters that have gone astray. We can lead them back. And you know what? We can even embrace them when they come back. We can even embrace them. They haven't wandered so far out that we cannot bring them back into the fold. We don't want to completely excommunicate them. We just want to get them back to the Creator and to love. With that said, I just want to tell you all that I love you. I thank you, Wakantanka. I thank you for everyone listening and praying with me right now. I pray that you all will help me to get the word out about understanding Sasquatch so we can get back our 2,000 subscribers plus and become a channel on YouTube. Again, I'm not monetizing it, but we can become a force for good, that we will reach many people to accomplish the great work and cosmic reality, Shungai. All the work that's involved with Stephanie and Nancy and Derek and myself and Chris Rest Jacobs and all of those that are working for good. Garrett Duncan, I want to mention. I just pray for blessings for all of you. I thank you that we are all now more closely connected together. For all of you that reach out and send love and support to any and all of us, I just thank you from the bottom of my heart. I pray that you are blessed. Please pay attention to the 7 grandfather teachings of the Lakota. Look them up, read about it, think about it, meditate on it. Get out there and start interacting with the Sasquatch people if that's what you feel led to do. Go out there and have these wonderful experiences. Let them touch your life. If you ever have questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'm going to start a dowsing service.
Okay, obviously this is we've run over by 3 minutes, going on to 4. Okay. And I've got to stop you because you could have gone on and I was into it. I just looked down and I said, ooh. So I thank you, Keegan. I thank you, Stephanie. I thank you, Derek. Everybody have a magical day. Be blessed. And it's like Keegan says, go out and take a chance if they're there to connect with. And we'll talk to you later. You have been listening to the Shungite Radio Show, produced by Cosmic Reality Radio and simulcasted over HaggieShackRadio.